Narcissistic or abusive person can absolutely accuse you of something and they have no evidence, no basis, no reality, and somehow 5 minutes later, you're on trial. You're defending yourself, you're explaining, you're clarifying, you're pulling up dates, pulling up texts, and here you are walking them through everything that happened, presenting them evidence of something that didn't even happen, okay? And the worst part is that the second you start defending yourself, you have been pulled into the frame that they believe is true, that they claim to believe is true. And now the conversation is not about reality anymore. It's all about their accusation. And this is exactly where they want you. I'm going to break down why narcissistic and abusive people always make baseless accusations, why this creates a sadistic double bind, why it's not always projection. That's the go-to for so many people. What they actually gain from doing it, and what you can actually do when someone is just committed to you being wrong, no matter how clearly you defend yourself. My name is Lisa Sonni. I'm a certified relationship coach. I'm the author of 5 books, including the most recent, Coming Back to Yourself. And I help women get out of abusive and toxic relationships with men and heal so that they never make these mistakes again. Now, the first thing you really want to understand is that accusations create a kind of arena, right? The accusation doesn't even have to be true to work, right? This works no matter what. It has to pull you into defending yourself. That's really the only criteria. So let's say you're cheating, you're lying, you're manipulating me, you're trying to make me look bad. All the things that these guys say, right? They call you abusive or say you're withholding or you're trying to control me or you don't care about me, all of those things. And here you are, no longer standing in reality. You're standing in his reality, right? You're standing inside of his premise. And it never occurs to people to just reject the premise of the accusation, reject the premise of the question. Now, this might not de-escalate him, but it's definitely going to keep you sane, and that's really what matters. His accusation becomes the topic, and then there's this emergency that's happening because he's suspicious and you're acting suspicious. So now you need to defend yourself. You need to somehow disprove something that never happened. This is just coming from his distorted view, but as soon as you start defending it, that's his power. The truth is not his power. It's just the fact that you're going to defend yourself. And the crazy thing is, defending yourself can actually accept the premise. That's the trap. You think, okay, if I explain this clearly enough, he's going to see that I didn't do it. So you defend yourself, right? You deny it. You explain what was really going on, where you really were. You bring evidence. You show a text message. You have a video. It doesn't matter. You answer every detail. But by doing all of this, you actually start acting like the accusation deserves this kind of defense, that it deserves denial, that it deserves all of these little details. Because you know what he's doing? He's sitting there like an abusive man being the judge and jury, and he thinks that he gets to decide if what you're doing or saying fits into this belief of what a real innocent person would actually do. You're litigating something that just didn't happen. So a quick, clean, that's not reality, that didn't happen, I deny that, that's not enough. You are arguing and negotiating reality and the truth. So you're innocent, but you have to almost perform innocence. The funny thing is that a lot of these men will say, if you act like this, then you're guilty. Oh, you're acting like that? Well, then you're guilty. So no matter what, you're guilty. And that's the point. That's the framework. You're guilty no matter what. You're proving your innocence to someone who has just decided that you're guilty. And the really irritating thing is that they may not even think you did the thing they're accusing you of, but they do want you to be defensive. But the fact that you can't win, no matter how you behave, no matter what you say, you're in this sadistic double bind. That's why it feels completely impossible. If you defend yourself, look at you. You're so defensive. Wow. Why are you explaining so much? You're giving me an awful lot of detail. You know, if you actually didn't do anything, you wouldn't be this upset. Look at you. You're acting so guilty. So if you do what I suggested, which is don't defend yourself, right? Just that didn't happen, but you don't get defensive. Wow, look at you. Look at you. You're not even denying it. Look at that. You don't even care. You know I'm right. You see? If it wasn't true, you'd be defending yourself. So either way, he wins inside his own crazy logic. The reason why I say, despite the fact that neither of these methods work, it keeps you sane to not defend yourself. I'm never going to claim that it's going to mean that he believes you or drops it. No. But it keeps you not standing in his warped, distorted reality. Tell me I'm wrong, right? You defend yourself, you're guilty. You stay calm, you're guilty. You cry, you're guilty. You get angry, guilty. Walk away from the conversation, guilty. Like there's nothing you can do. It is a double bind. No point in naming that to them. I'm naming this for you because you are trapped in a position where every response is just going to be used against you. So you need to choose what's best for only you, okay? Now, why do they even do this? Okay, they create chaos and then they tell you that they want you to be their peace. Well, chaos gives them power, right? A baseless accusation can destabilize you. It can destabilize an entire room, right? Your body has a reaction, your heart's pounding, your stomach drops. Oh my God, why does he think this? This is going to be such a big argument. Oh my God. You feel frantic. Maybe you feel completely insulted. And often you feel desperate to correct the lie. You don't want to be seen this way. That makes sense. But your reaction is going to give him control over the atmosphere of everything, right? Because he introduces chaos. And then who's cleaning it up? You, right? He created a fire. You're here trying to put it out, bucket after bucket of water with all the defensive things you can possibly come up with. And he feels powerful because he disrupted your nervous system on command with no basis in reality. And here you are acting like it deserves truth. It deserves detail and denial and attention when it absolutely doesn't. He doesn't actually have to believe the accusation for this tactic to work, right? Now, sometimes he deserves it. Sometimes it's projection. Sometimes it's paranoia. People with cluster B disorders often experience some serious paranoia. Could be insecurity, though I do always want to point out insecurity does not cause abuse, but it could be an insecurity. But it could also be that he's accusing you of the very thing that he's doing. I know, right? He's using an accusation just as a weapon. He knows that it's going to piss you off. He knows that it's going to make you, upset. It's going to shift the focus away. It provokes you. It punishes you. It exhausts you, especially if he does it in the middle of the night or when you're distracted or doing something else, the middle of your workday. But the point is that he wants to make you prove yourself to him. So don't rush into this, well, he's projecting. It's always the default. People will say if he accuses you of cheating, it's because he's cheating. Maybe, sure, sometimes. But projection is just the blanket statement everybody sort of says, but there's a lot of other reasons that they're actually doing this. Sometimes it's strategic. Sometimes they're just instinctually creating chaos because they love it. Now, there's a bunch of reasons that we want to quickly go through, okay? He wants to shift the focus away from his behavior. Let's say you bring up something he did, a lie, a betrayal, something cruel, a broken promise, doesn't matter. You bring something up. Then he accuses you of something else. Your issue, gone, right? The conversation is now about proving that you're not what he said you are. And it's the oldest trick in his sad little handbook, because if he can make you defend yourself, then he doesn't have to answer for himself. You came in and you wanted accountability, but now you're just defending your character. The second reason is that he wants to put you beneath him. You have to see the hierarchy because accusations create that, right? He is the one questioning. You are the one answering. He's the teacher, you're the student. He's the investigator, you're the criminal, okay? So you try to, satisfy the judge. That's the power imbalance. Even if the accusation is ridiculous, right? The dynamic immediately changes because you're trying to get back to this neutral place where you guys are what? Equals? You're trying to earn normal treatment when you didn't even do anything wrong? It's insane. Reason number 3 is he wants to trigger defensiveness. They want it. Defensiveness is very useful to an abusive person because once you are defensive, he can point to your reaction. What do we know about abusive men? They love to not take accountability by deflecting what actually happened, what they did, their behavior, and shifting it to your reaction. Darvo, right here, up front and center, right? Look how upset you are. Look how intense you're being. You see, this is why I can't talk to you. Look, you're proving my point. So he provokes the reaction, and then he uses the reaction as evidence. It's very convenient. It's also very stupid, but it is very effective because now the focus has moved from his false accusation, and now it's all about your nervous system response, the way you're behaving. And women who care about, being fair, they're going to spend the next hour antagonizing over the reaction instead of naming the fact that he provoked you. Reason number 4 is this man wants to test how much control he still has over you. So this baseless accusation can be kind of like a control check, right? Because if you don't care about him anymore, you're not going to explain yourself. But because you care, you explain and panic and prove yourself. And he hears, oh, she wants my approval, right? You actually have an investment in his version of reality. And he wants to know if that's more important to you. If he accuses you and you spiral out and try to defend yourself, he learns something, right? And that tells him that the hook is still there. And I hate that. So don't give him that. The fifth reason is that he wants you to self-monitor. The really interesting thing about these repeated accusations is that it actually trains you to watch yourself constantly, right? How will this land? Will I say this right? Should I wear this? Will he twist this? Is he going to accuse me of something if I go out? Is he going to think I'm lying? Should I wear lip gloss to the gym? I don't know if I should wear this top, Will this text be a problem? But only if he goes through my phone. You're going crazy. You start making all these choices based around what he might accuse you of. You're controlling yourself, right? You're doing his work for him. Your world becomes smaller. You have no freedom. But that's how false accusations really become behavioral control. Now, number 6, he wants you to feel unstable. This is where these abusive men want you. And when they repeatedly accuse you of things that are just not true, it distorts your reality because you know you didn't do it, but you keep wondering, why does he keep saying it? Why does he believe this? No, he actually believes that No, he doesn't. That's nonsense. These men often don't believe their own accusations. They are using these tactics to make you defend yourself, right? So you go, oh, maybe I gave him the wrong impression. Maybe I said something wrong, or I should have been more clear, explained it better. All this stuff. You're questioning yourself. You're not questioning what he's done. Now, reason number 7 is the one I said it isn't always, but it is sometimes, right? He might be projecting. That's possible. He accuses you of cheating while he's cheating. He's saying that you're a liar and he's the one hiding things, right? Or he's abusive and he calls you abusive. It happens all the time. Projection can happen because the accusation is coming from inside him, but be careful because I don't want you to turn projection into this other place where you analyze him for 6 months because we do that, right? He accuses you of something and now you're on this hunt trying to prove that he's doing the thing that he accused you of. Just let it go. Trust that the impact matters whether it's a projection or it's a strategy. It doesn't actually matter. Now, reason number 8, he wants to create moral confusion because these guys love moral confusion, right? They want you unsure who harmed whom, right? Who did what now? We're both abusive. The word salad, the talking in circles, they like blurry lines, right? They want both sides. They want you wondering if you're at least part of the problem too, if not the whole problem. And a false accusation can blur that so fast. They often use it to sort of like level the playing field. Like, for example, he will literally cheat on you. You will catch him and it will become clear to both of you. He can't get out of it. He cheated. Now you exchange one DM with one guy who nothing inappropriate happened. Some guy from high school that just said, hey, on Facebook or Instagram. And all of a sudden, do you see? We both cheated. We're both dishonest. And he's trying to flatten it when it's not equal at all. Whatever false accusation you're thinking of, right? You're sitting here thinking, am I abusive? Am I controlling? Did I make him like this? Was I unfair? You have a conscience. So you're analyzing yourself and this guy weaponizes that. He loves it. Your willingness to self-reflect is a wonderful thing for him, right? It's the door that he walks through to be like, perfect, right? Because you're busy checking yourself and he is escaping accountability again. It's an amazing little jailbreak. It's really irritating and it's abusive, in fact. Now, the benefit of all of this is that he gets to stay in control. He gets the emotional upper hand. He derails the topic. He makes you defend yourself. He makes you reactive. You're self-monitoring, and it's crazy making. This is why the accusation doesn't actually have to be believable. You don't have to believe it. He doesn't have to believe it. It just needs to be activating, right? And if you were not an honest person, it probably wouldn't matter to you. So the truth is what you can do is just reject the accusation one time. No PowerPoint presentations, no dissertations, no speeches, no long text messages that he's not going to read anyway. Reject it once, calm, clear, brief. That's it. That's not true. I didn't do that. I do not accept that. One time and then stop. Now, do I know that they are absolutely going to just pepper you and say all the things that I said they'll say? 100%. You need to be able to get through that. And there are skills in there to be able to get through that. But it does not mean that you need to crack under the pressure and then start defending yourself. Stick with what I'm saying. Stay out of his circus. There is something called the JADE method, and so many people have heard of it. But for those that haven't, JADE means do not justify, do not argue, do not defend, do not explain. This is incredibly hard. People tell you, use the JADE method. How? When someone is peppering you with this, accusing you of this, when it matters, when you have been trained to prove yourself. But with someone who is just straight up committed completely to misunderstanding you, JADE is what protects your energy. It's not going to make the accusation go away. That's not the point. You have to let go of that. I'm not discussing an accusation that isn't true. I've answered that. I'm not going in circles. I will end this conversation if you continue to accuse me. The point of this, it's not to make him see reality because that's not where he wants to be. The truth is, he probably already knows that you didn't do the thing that he's accusing you of. He just wants you to battle and negotiate and defend. I want you to stop sacrificing your nervous system to someone who benefits from keeping reality completely unstable. So don't confuse silence with agreement because a lot of women are like, but I have to defend myself. Otherwise, he thinks that he's right. Well, he thinks he's right no matter what, right? So either way, your defense is not what's going to create the truth. You just have to stop feeding it. Stop feeding this guy. It is painful. It is maddening. I know, but it is freeing. I do want to quickly note that for women who have an experience with their abuser where he escalates physically and that physical violence is part of what's going on, you don't want to poke the bear or test them. And if it is safer to defend yourself in the short term, then you do what you need to do to keep yourself safe. This advice is for people where there is not a risk of physical violence. I really just want you to protect your peace over proving your point because he doesn't want to see your point. You got to stop making the goal, how do I get him to understand that this didn't happen? No, how do you stay connected to yourself while he tries to distort reality and how you see yourself? You're wrong either way, right? So when it matters practically, you can document this, right? If the accusations affect custody or your job or your public reputation and it matters your safety, I mean, all of those things matter. Save the messages, keep the timelines, communicate in writing when you can, avoid long emotional responses that he's just going to twist. Strategic response is very different than defending yourself. So you might need to say, that's not true, but don't keep going. There's just no point. Over-explaining actually just feeds the dynamic, and you need to know the difference. So some accusations are not invitations to clarify. They're just hooks. That's all it is. It's bait. A narcissistic or abusive man can accuse you of something with no basis because the accusation itself creates the power imbalance. Now you're defending and explaining and proving your innocence. So reject it once, use the JADE method, document where you need to. Hit subscribe if you're not already. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.